Drug supply crimes and firebomb attacks have rocketed across Scotland amid the raging gang war that's been blighting our two biggest cities. It comes as new stats reveal the nation's shameful drug death figures have spiked amid growing fears over the impact of deadly zombie drugs and other contaminated substances. Organised crime gangs have ramped up their efforts to pour illegal drugs into the country, with crime fighters seeing a 15% rise compared to the previous year. And willful fire-raising attacks have jumped by 162 crimes, up 8%, with warring mobs and marauding teens blamed for the alarming trend. That's despite police having seized a staggering £80 million worth of narcotics over the course of 2025, which saw the biggest explosion of gangland violence seen in years. Details emerged at a meeting of the force's watchdog, the Scottish Police Authority, where the spotlight turned on the disturbing figures. Deputy Chief Constable Alan Spears said serious and organised crime and illegal drugs continue to blight our communities, with a 15.8% increase in supply of drugs crimes when compared to the same period for the previous year. This report highlights proactive activity to disrupt serious organised crime, including work which resulted in the seizure of almost £80 million worth of illegal drugs in 2025. Stats contained in the performance paper cover April to December last year, when Scotland was in the grip of an underworld turf war between rival mobsters. Top Brass launched Operation Portalage to tackle the mayhem, arresting 63 people so far, with 9 foot soldiers having been jailed for their part in the violence. Deputy Chief Constable Beck Smith told the meeting, "Our drug seizures alone will give you some comfort in terms of the work that we are doing around that. We are utilising specialist capabilities to manage at the high end of high harm. We are looking at the really serious supplies in relation to this and to try to take them out before they reach us." In the report it calls out nitazines, for example, where we've seen a lot of contaminated drug supplies where they are coming in mixed with different chemicals, which obviously causes a real issue to users. We are working to understand the profile of that with a drugs threat desk across the National Crime Agency and also within Scotland and the broader UK. There is also a lot of work that goes on in the background around that. Deputy Chief Constable Smith echoed comments made by the Assistant Chief Constable Katrina Payton, who insisted efforts were being made to understand the wider intelligence and drug flow of the criminal ecosystem. Detective Chief Constable Smith added, "And you'll have seen with some of the feuds, although not all drug-related, but you'll have seen the link between the local policing footprint on the ground in communities right up through the serious and organised crime capability that we have in Scotland." The Scottish Sun has reported extensively on the ongoing gangland violence that kicked off in March last year when low-level hood Logan Carlin, who's 25, petrol-bombed a beauty salon in Edinburgh. It was the start of a wave of machete attacks, firebombings and murder bids linked to a crew called Tamo Junto, who were part of a revenge campaign against rival drug gangs. Underworld insiders claimed it was ordered by Gulf-based mob boss Ross Miami McGill, who's 32, who blamed associates of jailed Edinburgh crime boss Mark Richardson, who's 38, for ripping him off using fake cash in a £500,000 cocaine deal. The attacks later switched to Glasgow, where members of the notorious Daniel crime family were targeted, raising the spectre of their decades-long and bloody feud with the Lyons mob. In May, high-ranking Lyons mob duo Eddie Lyons Jr., who's 46, and Ross Monaghan, 43, were both murdered in Spain in a gangland execution that took the turf war to a level not seen in decades. The battle for control of drug markets is said by underworld sources to be at the heart of the deadly war, amid growing fear and paranoia over the threat of further tit-for-tat attacks and leaks within sinister underworld networks, fueling suspicions around the increase in drug seizures. The report reads, in 2025, almost £80 million worth of illegal drugs were seized across the country as part of ongoing efforts to disrupt serious and organised crime. In the period leading up to Christmas, drugs with a combined estimated total of almost £14 million were seized nationwide. This represented a record week for drug recoveries and demonstrates the impact of sustained proactive policing activity. It goes on to detail the work of the Specialist Proceeds of Crime Unit in identifying and exploiting opportunities to trace gangsters' assets and dirty cash. There were 97 restraints totalling £7,365,455, as well as 120 cash seizures totalling £571,607, 4 listed assets of £70,550 and 2 account freezing orders for a total of £85,273. Philip Marshall, the NCA's regional head of investigations for Scotland and Northern Ireland, told the meeting the threat and harm from drugs is increasing across the United Kingdom. The drugs market continues to evolve, with diversification of products, significant increases in the volumes of ketamine and cannabis seized at the UK border, an increased detection of domestic drug laboratories, and a change in drug distribution models, all indicating an upward trend across 2025. The threat from cocaine remains high, with seizures in the UK having increased by 440% in the last 10 years. Cocaine prices were lower in 2025 than they were in 2024, likely reflecting robust and adaptable supply chains and high levels of production in source countries. The drugs threat further increased as organised crime gangs used container shipping routes to smuggle illicit drugs, demonstrating their ability to diversify their methodology. We revealed ex-Union Bears capo Miguel of East Kilbride was arrested last September in Dubai, along with Stephen Lyons, who's 45, from Glasgow, and 42-year-old Stephen Larwood from nearby Kirkintilloch. All 3 men were booted out of the desert state, but no officials either here or overseas have been able to confirm details on their arrest and banishment.